Hi there, mountain athlete and coach Sage Canaday here with a video brought to you by Manscaped.com. And this is my good friend, Pacer the dog. Now you may notice, Pacer actually doesn't have any hair up in her nostrils, on her nose, despite her whole body being covered in hair. However, I've found as I've gotten older, I've been growing some unruly nostril hairs up there. Well, fortunately for me, Manscaped has a product called the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose hair and ear hair trimmer. It has a powerful 7,000 RPM motor with a 360-degree dual blade rotary system. It also features a rechargeable battery for up to 45 minutes of runtime. And of course, with Father's Day coming up, maybe you're looking to try to improve that special someone's dad bod. Maybe you're looking to improve your own dad bod. Maybe you're hoping your dad can improve his dad bod. Well, Manscaped has more tools for that. Also check out the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 body hair trimmer. It's cordless, it's waterproof, to help give you full confidence when you need to sculpt and trim those body hairs in all different areas. So combine these two products together, plus other bonus items in the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, a perfect gift for Father's Day. Get 20% off plus free international shipping with code TAS20 at manscaped.com. Wow, that was a really long and totally unnecessary intro. Actually, it was totally necessary. Thanks to Manscaped for that paid product promotion ad. You know, truth be told, it's been really hard to put in the energy and work in this YouTube channel with diminishing Google AdSense. I'm not going to be running Google ads on this video, but the paid product contracts really help me as a creator, especially with diminishing Patreon support. And yeah, it's just been hard to justify, but really thankful for these short-term product plugs that I could do that you could watch. Hopefully it's entertaining. But yeah, check out the Manscaped, enter the code TAS20. Anyway, training talk, we're gonna dive into it. Episode number 65, I believe. And you know, I got a great top voted question on quads, or blowing out your quads, so to speak, in an ultra race, which I'm gonna get to in a future training talk. There's some stuff with, you know, weight training and squats, but also pacing that go into that. But this question I wanted to address in this training talk, which got the second amount of top votes, I believe. Great vid as always, keep it up, Sage. Can you explain how zones could change when you're at the end of a long run versus at the beginning? For example, marathon long run workout, 10 times 1 mile at marathon pace, followed by 1 mile in zone 2. So we're looking at 10 1 mile repeats, 1.6 kilometer repeats at marathon pace, then floating with a zone 2 of the equal distance, and then repeating that through the cycle of a long run. First few reps will feel easy, rate of perceived exertion 5 to 6, but latter will be harder. The same with the rest periods. In the beginning, RPE of 3 might be 8 minute per mile pace, but as the workout goes up, a pace may decrease to 9 to 10 minute per mile pace. Heart rate will also get higher. Would you rather focus on pace, RPE, or heart rate? And RPE means rate of perceived exertion. Maybe on marathon pace, focus on pace, and the rest period, focus on RPE or heart rate. Great question. I actually answered that in a YouTube comment that, you know, at Higher Running, with a lot of our advanced marathon training plans, Boston qualifying plans, we do big long run workouts where we actually do negative split efforts, where you're throwing down a lot of faster 10K pace running in the second half of a 20-mile long run or 32K long run. Or you're doing a progression where we do up-tempo miles, more zone 3 into zone 4 maybe, for 30 or 40 minutes in the second half of a long run. But it starts off as a warm-up jog that's more easy. And of course, so you know, that's the first part of the question. To address the clickbaity title though, do you have to touch on marathon pace to get ready for your marathon? Yes, it is good to know what marathon pace feels like exactly, but you could get used to running slightly slower and slightly faster than it, and that's actually sometimes even a better training stimulus than trying to pinpoint exactly what your goal marathon pace might be, right? So for example, if you're training for a marathon and you want to get a Boston qualifier, let's say you want to crack 3 hours in the marathon, right? 6:52 per mile pace, or put that in metric there, kilometer pace. That's your goal marathon pace. Now, we don't know as you go through a 16-week higher running training plan whether or not you're going to be in shape to do that. We don't know if you got enough sleep. We don't know exactly how your training's been going. Maybe it's been rainy and there's thunderstorms outside, or hot and humid. Maybe you're at altitude. Maybe work stress has gotten in the way, family life balance. So you're just kind of guessing, this is my goal marathon pace. Now, 6 weeks into the cycle, I might not be in that fitness yet. Maybe I'm a little slow. I'm 10 seconds a mile too slow, or 6 seconds a mile too slow. We're not going to race an all-out marathon to know what you could do exactly. Maybe you do some tune-up workouts though, and we start getting a better idea of what your goal marathon pace might be, right? So if you're doing a zone 4 tempo run lactate threshold workout, maybe it's 2 or 3 mile repeats, 3 to 5K tempo repeats with a really short rest. You're doing it on tired legs, you're running over 100K a week, you've been doing long runs, and you smash this workout at 620 per mile pace. I'll put that in kilometer pace there. That means if your lactate threshold is down to 620 per mile pace, there's a very good chance that your marathon pace is going to be faster, hopefully, than 652 per mile pace, right? You have a lot of wiggle room between your lactate threshold pace that you've nailed down in workouts and proven that you could hold deep into workouts. And this marathon pace, hopefully it falls into place then, right? And that's supported by the high mileage, the consistent high mileage. It's been supported by maybe doing a 20-mile long run, 32K long run, where you started throwing down 650-mile splits late into a long run. Now, you don't necessarily have to do a Hanson's Marathon Simulator. We used to do this at Hanson's, where we'd run 26K or 16 miles, basically all out, and we'd race it like all out, untapered. And a lot of times we'd run a lot faster in that simulator than we actually could hold in the race. And that's how it is for a lot of people. Likewise, I've also seen people that are able to do these 16 to 18 mile long runs at this amazing pace, but then when they get up to the 26.2 distance, 42.2K distance, they can't hold that pace that they did in a workout. And part of it is because maybe they got too tired in the workout. Maybe they got stale and kind of burnt out of always trying to nail this marathon pace, always doing workouts right at marathon pace. Well, I'm going to say you get more benefits from going 10 seconds a mile faster, 15 seconds a mile faster than goal marathon pace, or that's 6 seconds to 12 seconds per kilometer faster, right? And that gets closer to the up-tempo pace for a lot of people. And then we have a couple notches even faster, as well as long runs that are slightly slower. So you never actually have to touch marathon pace to necessarily run a great marathon, but you want to be working out pretty close around it. You want to be accumulating a lot of miles or kilometers that are slightly faster especially, but then also on some long runs maybe it's slightly slower, because we're not doing all our long runs at marathon race pace unless you're a pure beginner and you're just looking to finish a 6-hour marathon or something like that. Maybe then you could go out the door at your marathon pace. So for more advanced runners, it becomes more critical. And what does this mean with the question? Well, the question is that you generally, I don't think that's a great workout to do, first of all. Alternating miles isn't a bad idea, but doing them right off the bat and having them be too easy in the first half of a long run workout usually isn't the goal. Usually we want you to run pretty easy, steady the first 10 miles or first 16K of a long run workout, and then really throw down in the second half. So it's a negative split, but a huge, huge increase in effort. And that's really the key takeaway here, is that I think, if you go out and you run any distance race or workout at a perfectly even pace, that doesn't mean the effort's even all the way through, right? You could be running 7 minutes per mile or 4 minutes, 4:30 per kilometer pace steady. And as the distance and time increases, you start getting hot, your heart rate's going to start drifting up, your muscles start getting tired. Eventually, after 90 minutes, you might run low on glycogen. If you're not taking in gels or carbohydrates or drinking, you're going to start getting dehydrated, low on fuel. Maybe if it's a high enough heart rate intensity, you're going to run out of glycogen, you're going to run out of carbs, you're going to have to start burning higher percentage of fat. Well, maybe you're not able to support that, and lactate's accumulating. And so the effort increases a lot more as you go up. Now that's if you just hold an even pace. And I think a lot of people have experienced that, especially in a marathon. The last 10K of a marathon, you hit the wall, you could start slowing down a lot, right? So just to hold even pace is usually the goal, and that's going to require a huge increase in effort. And what gives you the strength and stamina and metabolic fitness, cardiovascular fitness, and mental toughness to be able to do that is these hard callusing workouts where you are throwing down some miles and kilometers faster than your goal pace. And you've worked on the systems, you've worked on your lactate threshold, you've worked on your aerobic threshold, you've worked on your fat burning, you've worked on building your musculature up through consistent high mileage and some hard long run efforts to make sure that you're not cramping, because the muscles like to cramp when they're not prepared to do something that's extreme like running a marathon or ultramarathon. They like to protest, and that's usually something you have to really fight with, and it's usually sheer muscle fatigue that causes that. But again, if you're getting dehydrated, your legs are going to turn to cement, and that's going to feel like you're running out of glycogen as well, and maybe you're doing that also. So if you don't pace yourself, that's kind of what happens. And final story, I ran my first marathon when I was 21 years old, debuted in 2:22. I barely touched that pace. That's about 5:25 per mile pace. I'll put that in kilometer pace there. I was coming off of a track season of racing 5Ks and 10Ks. I basically just piggybacked off my 10K racing in track training. So I've been doing a lot of VO2 max intervals, a lot of workouts like kilometer repeats, mile repeats, not a whole lot of tempo work, and barely touching 5:25 per mile pace. I did some long run workouts where I throw down the last 10 miles of a 20-mile long run, last 16K of a 32K long run at like 5:40 pace. So I was approaching marathon pace, and it was really hard in a workout, not tapered. And then I was doing 2-mile repeats or 3K repeats at lactate threshold, which was more like 5:10 to 5 flat pace. So 3:12, 3:15 to 3:07 per kilometer pace. So I was doing the notch a little bit slower, a lot of miles, slightly faster than goal marathon pace. And then on race day, you just string it all together and hope that you could hold it. But it is good to be familiar with your marathon pace. And usually some of our last workouts at Higher Running are doing some up-tempo runs or tempo runs very close to marathon pace, because we want you to get used to that mechanics of marathon pace, right? We don't want you to go out too fast in the race. We don't want it to be a shock to the system and have it feel too fast either. But generally it won't feel too fast. Most people go out too fast, and that's part of the problem. But if you get your efficiencies working slightly faster, slightly slower than marathon pace, it's going to feel relatively comfortable, hopefully, and your body's going to be prepared to do it. So that's really the key takeaway. Again, with this talk is rambling. Piggybacking off my last training talk on our whole training zones chart, which is new development, new graphic. You could download that for free at higherrunning.com. Coach Sandy and I work hard to develop training plans for any service, any distance there at higherrunning.com. Check it out. Subscribe to Sandy's channel, Running Wild. Also, she's put in a lot of work on the plans, so check them out. We have new 5K plans, stuff like that. Thank you so much for all your subscriptions, all the Patreon support. Title sponsor Hoka for keeping the dream alive. I'm going to update you with some more vlogs, race announcements, hopefully coming your way pretty soon. Thanks so much again, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.